predominantly. You're here today because hopefully you've heard about TriTech Academy and you want to find out what TriTech Academy is all about. And do not worry, you're going to spend 1 hour and 30 minutes with me. Hopefully we will finish on time. But my hope is that after today's session, you have a clearer idea of what tech is all about. And most importantly, you join us today. So without further ado, we are going to start because I do want to start on time. But just very, very quickly in the chat, just let me know what has made you join today. So we're going to have a little bit of a warm up. So why are you on this session? What has made you join this session? Some of you have just come back from work, or perhaps you're still in work or still at work, and you've been able to join me on time. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, just let me know in the chat and then we will start. So essentially, I'm going to be focusing on project management and business analysis only. So if there are any other courses pertaining to data or cyber, that is not what this session is about. It's for those who want to get into project management and business analysis. So let's have a look at some of the comments. I need to leave the care job, but I'm obviously confused, looking for a career change, need to change, career change, looking to transition to tech, and I need to understand where to begin, career change. So I would say that 95% of you on the call, you're looking for a career change, and why not? And the sooner you make that decision, the better, because guess what? Tomorrow is the end of January already, and you might be in limbo up until December, thinking that one day you're going to do it, and then next minute we're already in 2026. So the sooner you make that decision, the better. But without further ado, are you all ready for us to start the session? Just give me a yes or a no in the chat, and then we will start. Thank you so much. Okay, so first slide when you're ready. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to talk about a little bit of data. And when we're looking at data, I'm going to talk about key trends that you absolutely must understand the importance of and learn this year. Now, when I transitioned into tech, which was 2014, it's a very, very long time ago, it was all about Prince 2, it was all about waterfall, but tech has evolved over the years. And one thing that you will find that is definitely in our faces at the moment is AI. And AI is here to stay. It's all about automation, reduction of repetitive tasks, reduction of administrative tasks, so that project managers and business analysts can just focus on the key goals of the project. So with that in mind, there is a further demand or an increase in the demand for project managers and business analysts, providing they have that AI knowledge and experience. And even though the industry is somewhat competitive, yes, I would say that it's a little bit competitive right now, maybe a little bit saturated as well. Despite that, there is still a huge talent gap for project managers and business analysts. And one of the biggest problems that a lot of recruitment agencies are facing is the lack of the right experience. So what we are finding is that a lot of people are going or getting interviews, but because they don't have the right experience tailored to what is needed in 2025, then it's harder for them to get a job. So when we're looking at tech skills as well, this is also in high demand this year. But it's not just your tech skills, also your soft skills as well. Because what you will find is that AI is going to do all the automations and everything else, but it cannot feel, it cannot show those emotions of a human being. So it's absolutely essential that you have skills such as emotional intelligence, communication skills, stakeholder management skills, and those soft skills are just as important as the tech skills as well. So regardless of the fact that that there's so many of us right now in tech, there is still a huge demand for project managers and business analysts, especially when it comes to AI. So what you're going to see in the next couple of months and years is AI project managers or AI business analysts. So AI is here to stay, and your tech skills and your soft skills are just as important as well. Next slide, please. So, for many of you on the call, have you tried to transition into tech prior to attending this session? Give me a yes, give me a no. And if you've tried it, what went wrong? So for those of you that perhaps you've tried it, what are your challenges, or what was it that didn't work well for you? But whilst we're waiting on that, we're going to look at some of the problems as to why you are not yet a project manager or business analyst. So let's have a look. So there are many reasons. We've got fear, and I'm going to talk about that extensively. A lack of a career strategy, poor training, personal commitments. So for those of you at work, you've got family, you've got commitments. It's going to be super hard for you to get your job in tech. And some of you, perhaps you've taken on courses that you feel will help you get into tech. However, they are not the right choice. So let's have a look at fear. Fear of the future, scared of the competition, imposter syndrome, and thinking you're too old. So these are just some of the fear factors that I've experienced when I speak to candidates. Scared of the competition. So a lot of what I hear is, oh, it's super competitive. Are there still jobs? Are you sure there's still jobs out there? Because, I'm seeing that there's not a lot of jobs in tech any longer. Yes, like I said at the beginning of the session, the industry is really competitive. However, regardless of that, there is still a huge demand for project managers and business analysts. And the only way that you're going to be able to secure your role is basically working on your unique selling points. So what is going to make you stand out from the competition? So essentially, you cannot be average. You cannot just be average, the same as every other person applying for these roles. You have to create a story about yourself. You have to sell that story, and you need to think of something that is unique that is going to help you within the tech space itself. Imposter syndrome is where perhaps you're scared to take that leap. So a lot of you, perhaps you're in care right now, or you're working as a support worker or a cleaner, or you're doing odd jobs that, are just there to help you get by. So that fear factor is going to be there, where you know what you were doing back home, for example. So for some of you, you had really good jobs back home, and you've come back to the UK, or you've come to the UK, and you've had to do, jobs that you're not really happy about. So imposter syndrome is where you're trapped in a bubble, where you don't have confidence and belief in yourself because of what you're doing currently, in which you're not happy with what you're doing anyway. That's number one. Number two, imposter syndrome is where you feel like a fraud. Again, when we think about back home, a lot of you have your diplomas, you have your doctorates, you've got your degrees, you've got your PhDs, and you know what you can bring to the table, but you doubt yourself. How many of you feel like that at the moment? Does anyone feel like that, where you just doubt yourself? You know you can do it, you know what you can bring to the table, but because you've been doing this job just to pay the bills, that's confined you and limited you in terms of your career goals. And some of you, you think age is a factor. I get this a lot. I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. Are you sure I'm still going to be able to get a job? I would say essentially, if you're from the age of 50 to 60, which are the older years, you are still able to get a job. And then there's another thing on here that I've not added, and I get this a lot. And funny enough, Helia has just talked about this accent. I get this a lot. I have a Nigerian accent. I have an African accent. Excuse me, no one is worrying about your accent. Just do the work that you're meant to do. And I think after COVID right now, companies are recruiting and employing people from all over the world. So your accent is not a barrier. In actual fact, the only thing that they care about is the work that you're going to do. A lack of a career strategy. So in order for you to excel in the tech space, you need to have a plan in terms of, your time frame. How long is it going to take you to get this job? What is your skill set? What are you doing currently and what can you bring to the table? What are your strengths and your weaknesses? Knowing who to go to for the right guidance and support. If you go on social media right now, there's a lot happening, and what you don't want is you're absorbing so much information everywhere and then you get really confused. So it's very important that you align your skill set and your goals and just focus on one area, and hopefully that should help you as well. Some of you might think that perhaps tech training is too expensive. I mean, in TriTech, we always try to come up with fees that we believe are affordable. But perhaps you've gone and paid for a certificate of £1,500 or, another degree, thinking that's going to help you get your job. Yes, it might give you that added advantage in the job market, but essentially what is important is your practical experience. When you go for an interview, the interviewer wants to know how. Show me how, give me examples, show me and tell me. Your certificates, yes, I would say that is not a bad thing, but your experience takes precedence. And poor training. It's very important that if you're going for the training, you're getting the experience and you're being trained on the right things. And what are the right things at the moment? Agile, AI, soft skills training, your tech training, knowing how to use the right tools, knowing how to deal with difficult stakeholders, knowing how to plan a project, knowing how to write a business case, understanding the different strategies, and so on and so forth. And then finally, another reason why perhaps you've not been able to get your role is personal commitments. So I'm sure all of you will agree that a lot of us are super busy. Do we agree? Yes or no? We're hopping from one shift to another shift. Then we come home, then we've got to sort out the kids. And then some of you are students. Some of you even have 3 jobs. Some of you have 4 jobs because you need to make ends meet. You've got to send money back home, etc., etc. So how are you now going to be able to fit this in? It's a $1 million question. And I always say that it's absolutely essential that you need to create that time. You need to be able to create that sacrifice. Thinking about your work-life balance. Some of you, you're very overwhelmed. The bills are piling up, the shifts are getting longer, and there's no balance in between. So there are many reasons why perhaps you've not been able to get your success story, or perhaps you've not been able to join a training program that will give you the right support, show you the right way to do things, give you the right experience, the right guidance, and prepare you for the job market. So if I was to ask you on here, from all of the different things that I've talked about, what would be your number one blocker? So I've talked about fear. I've talked about training, poor training, personal commitments. Some of you think that, tech training is too expensive, or a lack of a clear strategy. So which one on here relates to you? Let me know in the chat. Fear, cost of training, fear of the future, fear. That's interesting. Fear and age, and personal commitments. Yes, I absolutely would agree to that, because when I speak to a lot of candidates, they're busy and, how can they fit all of this in? Yes, there is hope for you, but fear and strategy. But I think for a lot of us, it's that fear. My accent, am I ready? I'm just a cleaner. I'm just, working in the hospital trying to make ends meet. How am I now going to go into a corporate world, suited and booted, and working with all these top people? Guys, it's not that hard. So if there's anything I will say to you right now is, if you're passionate about something and you're determined, you will make it work. So don't worry about that fear factor. Just have a positive mindset. And if I can do it and many other candidates can do it, you can definitely do it as well. Okay. Someone said, oh, Janet, oh my goodness. Sorry, I just recognized a very, very old candidate of mine. Janet, oh my goodness. Hi, Janet. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've got some good news. We talked about fear, a lack of a career strategy, not having the time, training is too expensive. Do not worry. I have the solution to this. However, let's have a look at the next slide. And I'm going to talk about myself very, very quickly, because for today, it's not really about me. It's about you and giving you that guidance and support that you need. So let's have a look at my journey. Next slide, please. So this is me. I was born in Hackney in the 80s. Born in Hackney, and then I lived with my foster parents. So I was in a foster home up until the age of 11. I was the only Black person within my community and within my school, constantly ridiculed because of the way that I looked, etc., etc. So at the age of 11, my parents then decided to take me to Nigeria. So I went to Nigeria. I think I was about 12 at the time. I went to FACO International. Once I completed my secondary education, my family was still not convinced that, I was a changed child, because I was a little bit rebellious back in the days. So I continued with my university education, and I went to LASU, Lagos State University, and I studied literature in English. As soon as I graduated, I was ready to come back home. Yes, Nigeria was home. Yes, I went to FACO. So yes, Nigeria was home, but the UK was also home for me as well. So when I came back to the UK, I used to work as a cleaner. So I can definitely relate to a lot of you perhaps doing something that you're not pleased with at the moment. So I used to work in a lot of hotels as a chambermaid. So a chambermaid is somebody that would clean all the rooms. And when you've checked out, I would be the one to clean your room. And I'd clean about 10 to 15 rooms a day. And then from there, I worked in a bakery. So if any of you are familiar with Stamford Hill or Hackney, there is a bakery, a Jewish bakery within Hackney itself. And I used to sell cakes, donuts, pies, you name it. So I did that for a number of years. I did a lot of home cleaning as well. And then from there, I used to work in a gambling company, otherwise known as William Hill. And these were people that would just come in, customers would come in and place bets on football or horses. They win, you pay out. And then somehow, a lot of last whites on the call, greatest last whites, great. And then somehow I found my way to the bank. So I used to work for NatWest Bank, and I was in NatWest Bank for 10 years. So NatWest for me was good in terms of the professional side of things, from doing cleaning, from working, selling cakes and donuts. But there was an issue. So 10 years, I was promoted. So I was a cashier, and then I was a customer advisor, and I was a very good customer advisor. Okay. I would sell, give me anything to sell, I'm selling it. So I was a top seller. And then I was promoted to a bank manager, which was predominantly sales, but there was a problem. Every time I was getting these promotions, the job title was fantastic, but it wasn't matching my bank balance. Does everybody or can anybody relate to that? So there was a lot of empty promises. Don't worry, you're going to do this. And if you do this, this is what we're going to do. And these are the targets that you need to hit. And it was just a lot of stories. And every year it was the same old story. That was frustrating in itself. Secondly, work politics. I'm sure that some of you, yes, Ogechi, ex-banker. I don't know what it is about the banks. work politics is where basically I would apply for positions and somebody that just joined 2 days ago would get that job. In actual fact, I had a manager that brought in her mother, her brother, her sister, and her in-laws to do these senior roles. And I was just there doing my job, waiting for promises that would never happen. And thirdly, I just felt like my voice was not heard. I had ideas. I knew what I could bring to the table. Again, the fear factor, but I wasn't given that opportunity. And because I wasn't given that opportunity, I lost that confidence within myself. So, when you go home every day, you moan to your partner, you moan to your husband, you moan to your wife, you moan to your friends. So how many of you are like that at the moment? You're really, really dissatisfied with what you're doing at the moment, and you just complain about everything. So that was me. I was just really angry. I was really frustrated. And I just had enough. So I became that stereotypical Black woman in the bank that challenged everything. I will challenge you because I didn't like what I was doing. So I was having this discussion with a friend of mine, and he said to me, why don't you try project management and business analysis? Now, back in the day, I'm talking 2014, it wasn't about transitioning to tech. It was just get a job as a project manager or a business analyst. And I thought to myself, well, I don't really know much about it. I've heard about Prince too, and that's as far as I know. So I joined a company. This was 2014. I just had baby number 2. I've got 3 amazing children, by the way. So I joined a company similar to what I now have. And within 4 months, I was able to leave the bank. And that was how I got my job as a project manager and business analyst. So within 4 months, I got my success story. Now, how did TriTech come about? I stayed on within that company where I had my training, and I began to mentor. And as I began to mentor, a lot of candidates were getting jobs. I don't have a crystal ball, I don't have a magic wand, but there was just something inside me that made me realize that actually I enjoy this. And that's when I discovered that I had a hobby for mentorship. So in March 2017, I was pregnant with baby number 3. And I thought, you know what, let me just take that leap of faith and start a little company to get me by, just to pay the bills. I didn't really have a vision or goal of how big TriTech was going to be. It was just me testing the waters. And we started in March 2017. And I remember we had just 2 candidates. We had an office in Tottenham, and there were just 2 candidates. So I thought to myself, this is not going very well. I'll give it a couple of months and then I'll probably shut down the company. But lo and behold, roll on 2025. Yeah, 2025. We've made a huge impact within the tech space. We have been around, it's going to be 8 years in March, okay? We have over 5,000 success stories spanning those 8 years. Let's have a look at the next slide. It's been an amazing journey. Yes, Janet used to actually work in TriTech those years ago. But yes, it's been an amazing journey. We've impacted a lot of lives, if I do say so myself. And these are some of our achievements as well, which I'm going to read out very, very quickly. So I've been recognized as the top 100 influential global voices in Africa. Oh, Piper. So there's a lot of another success story candidate on the call. Hi, Piper. Oh, wow. Sorry, guys, I get really excited when I see, the old candidates just coming and joining. Okay, so top 100 influential global voices in Africa 2024. Featured as the top 100 impactful people in Africa 2023. We did an interview with Forbes Africa in 2023. I received a Global Excellence Outstanding Woman in Tech Award 2023. I also received an African Achievers Legacy Award at the House of Parliament 2022. Emerging CEO of the Year 2022, a Rotary Recognition Award in 2022, a Woman of the Year Award in 2018, and then also a Woman of the Year Award again in 2022, recipient of an award for Youth Empowerment 2020, and within that company where I was a mentor, Mentor of the Year 2016. Let's have a look at the next slide. Janet said, trained, worked hard, had my success story here, still counting my blessings. Janet, honestly, we need to catch up. Let's have a look at other achievements. Last year was absolutely amazing for TriTech. We were invited to the House of Parliament on 3 occasions where we trained some of the dignitaries on digital skills. So I presented a session on AI, that's at the top and the left-hand corner. And then at the bottom, I was with the Security Minister, Tom Tugendhat, where I delivered a session on cybersecurity. And this was just this year in the middle. TriTech was shortlisted as the top 20 Black-owned businesses in the UK as approved by Channel 4 and Lloyds Bank. So a lot has happened within 8 years. I'm hoping that everyone is clapping. A win for one is a win for everybody, especially within our community, where I just think, we need to just support each other, help each other. And that is the key thing and the most amazing thing about TriTech Academy. We help you, we support you, and we give you that help that you need to help you with your success story. And it's nice to see some of our older candidates on the call that are testifying to the great work that we've done over these 8 years. Next slide, please. Thank you to everyone that is clapping. If you're not clapping, you need to clap. Thank you, guys. So in terms of track records, if I do say so, I think it's been an amazing journey. I would say 70% of our candidates do get jobs within TriTech. I'll be totally honest with you. I would say that some people, they join, they drop off, or they just realize halfway through the program that it's not for them. But the ones that are determined, the ones that are committed, the ones that just focus, they know that they've paid for this, they usually end up getting their success story. We get a lot of success stories, in particular within the NHS, especially sponsorship roles as well, Barclays, HSBC, but I would say mainly the NHS. They take on a lot of our candidates. So yes. Next slide. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the claps. Thank you. So I have a surprise. We've never done this before, right? So I thought, you know what? I want to make this session a bit different and for you guys to hear what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear in order to get your success story this year. Oh, okay, time. All right, fantastic. So Samuel Akinlowton is one of our talent specialists within TriTech. He works as a recruiter, I believe for NatWest Bank. Hi, NatWest. But he's going to share 10 minutes of his time to guide you on what you need to do and things that he looks out for when he's hiring in particular. So guys, are we excited to have Samuel on the call? He knows his onions, he knows his stuff. This is what he does day in and day out, okay? So his job is to hire people. He's the one that does the interviews, he knows all the strategies. So this is real. And Samuel, are you there? Hi, Samuel.
Good evening, Doc. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. 10 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really excited to join the conversation this evening. It's always very hard to come up after someone like you, so I'll try my best.
Oh, please.
But really excited to join the conversation, definitely. And a few thoughts I would want to share with us today around what we look out for. Gratefully, I've also been privileged to hire candidates from TriTech in the last 2 years. I've hired a number of them. I have seen a number of them through our application process, even those that I did not handle. So it's really exciting to be here. A few things I'll just share with us very fastly is what is really happening in the market with regards to business analyst roles. And from data from Tech Nation, as we all know, are one of the organizations that manage what's it called, the Global Talent Visa Program. And they've identified some roles in the tech space that are very common that receive sponsorship and also get on the global talent program. And they are business analysts, data analysts, DevOps, Java developer, project managers and software developers. And this just tells us that there are numerous opportunities there, not just to start a career in it, but also because if they are in-demand roles. Several organizations are hiring for these roles, not just hiring them, paying them, and also being able to they consider them to be talent enough to want to sponsor them. So those are some of the interesting things. Between 2020 and 2024, there has been over 2.1 million roles filled in this sector, in this tech space as well. So that just tells us the propensity for growth and opportunities that are in that space. So that is just one of the things that the market is saying. The interesting thing as well, for BAs and project managers from my perspective as well, is how it does not confine you to just becoming a standard BA or a standard project manager. You can vary, you can vary your specializations. So for example, if you want to focus on a certain industry, and that's one of the interesting things as well. Let's say you've been working as a social worker or you've been working in healthcare for some time. NHS hires business analysts, as you can tell, and they're one of the largest employers when it comes to business analysts and project management roles. So they hire healthcare project managers, healthcare business analysts, people that review their systems they use for scheduling, for candidates, for patient management, for employee management. So there are interesting opportunities even in the industries. And this also cuts across. So you've been working in financial services, let's say marketing. There are marketing business analysts out there. So it is very, very interesting because you don't need to confine yourself to just your experience. You can also evolve your existing experience into BA roles, into PM roles. And even I can see some saying something around data science. Yes, there are data roles. If you check on some of the roles I listed there are data roles, very numerous of them also. There's also the technical part of it. So if you are super excited about the IT space, there are IT project managers, there are data analysts, business analysts that support change management projects, process improvement projects, software projects, digital transformation projects. So, if you want to go on the technical side as well, there are numerous opportunities. Interestingly, again, you can evolve into specialities around methodology. So if you want to become an agile coach, agile project manager, lean business analyst, for example, the opportunities are also there. But, being a business analyst and being a project manager, that foundation provides you with opportunities, and a career that is also exciting. Some of the perks as well is that, one, BA and PM roles pay above average starting salary across the UK at the national level. The average pay across the UK is £27,000. And so the minimum you can earn in a BA or PM role is 37,000. And even from market data that I was even seeing earlier today, it is close to 40,000 now, £40,000. That means you can get sponsored across most organizations. If most of you are very conversant, £38,000 is the threshold for a role to be sponsored. So it just showed you the numerous opportunities in that space. Flexible work arrangement. I can go on and on around the perks, but let me just go a bit into what we look out for. But before I get into that, the opportunities are also informed by changes in the market. And we would see, there has been a lot of redundancies, reduced hiring in 2022, 2023, and a lot of big tech companies picked up hiring again last year. So the opportunities are coming back into the market. As at yesterday when I checked, there are currently 27,000 BA and PM roles from big tech organizations. And when I'm saying big tech, I'm not talking about every other organization. I'm talking about the FANG companies, the Facebook, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, name them, all of them like that. Yeah, about 27,000 roles. You can check it on LinkedIn, just to be sure. You see these organizations have interesting and exciting roles out there. So it shows that the market is growing again. The market is open to resourcing again. Financial services as well are definitely there. Tech startups, we have tech startups across even industries. Agri tech startup, fintechs, AI is now a big thing, and I'm sure we all know that. If, for example, if you've had experience, doing some certain machine learning, some programming experience, that is also an area you can tap into as a BM or a project manager. Some interesting market acts I'll just, share with us to tap into some of these opportunities is network. I always see this network. And networking, a lot of times, is not just about people currently living in these roles. It is also people that, you are looking for the same type of roles. And I know someone that was trying to get an opportunity and, they applied for a number of jobs. They got two offers. However, they can only accept one, definitely. When they accepted one, the second role that they were going to decline, the hiring manager asked them if they know anyone that they think would be a good fit for that role as well, and they recommended someone they had networked with along the line, someone they were also seeking a job together. So networking should not just be towards people already in the industry; it can also be towards people you are also job searching together. So network, and I can tell you for free that close to 80% of jobs you see that are available, or opportunities that are available, are not advertised. Less than 20% of jobs you see, all the jobs you see out there that are advertised are less than 20% of job opportunities available. So I always advise networking, continuous learning as well. And I'm super excited that most of us are currently in conversations with TriTech. Continuous learning is very, very important because if I'm interviewing you, just to give you some context, I lead hiring for a commercial and institutional banking where I currently work, and I've overseen over 5,000 roles in the last 4 years. And why I'm sharing this with us is that you can tell a candidate's attitude just by their approach to learning. If, for example, in the last 6 months, 1 year, you are interested in a career path and you've not done anything actively to learn in that space, you will not be seen as as an intentional candidate. So it's very important for us to also prioritize that. So just a number of things there. What do we look out for as well? Technical proficiency. That is also very good. And that's what I talk about, the fundamentals. Do you understand, the basic things, SDLCs? If I ask you, for example, as a BA, you are interested in a software project, can you talk us through the SDLC process itself, the part you will play as a business analyst? The technical proficiency is very, very important. And I always say this, that a lot of times it's not just about experience is great, but sometimes being able to talk to the fundamentals shows you have taken the time to understand the basic principles behind how things work. So it is also very important because you can come into an interview, talk about a project you've been on. If you are not using the technical terms, sometimes, which you must have learned, either through classroom or some learning, it becomes harder for us to be able to pick what stage you are talking about. So knowing the fundamentals is very, very important. Another thing that we look out for, as hiring managers, some experience. And I say sometimes that it does not have to be some extensive experience, but having some hands-on project experience, having some it could even be simulated work experience. That is also something you could look, you should also look out for to get, even if you are going through a career transition. So look for an opportunity, an internship, a project experience that can get you into that space such that you get your hands dirty. That's the right word to use. Another thing we look out for are candidates that, demonstrate a very good level of enthusiasm and interest. And that also ties it back to continuous learning. What have you been doing? What have you been learning about in that time? What do you know about us? A lot of candidates turn up at interview without even knowing about the organization that they are, interviewing with. And I'm talking about the values, vision, mission. No, I'm talking about, do you know what we do as a business? Do you know what industry we play in? The type of services or products we offer? Because as a BA or as a PM, there's a high chance you're coming to, support the product or services that our organization provides to their customers. So if you don't know it, how do you want to add value? That is like a very big thing to also look at there. Another thing to check is to speak clearly, confidently, and to be aware of behavioral nuances. It is very important for us to understand that we're in a multicultural environment. And as we're in a multicultural environment, you'll be speaking with people from different backgrounds. So you need to understand behavioral nuances of those that you'll be potentially speaking with. That is also very, very key. So if you have a panel, for example, and they've advised you of who the panelists could be, get familiar with their profile, get familiar with their background, try to understand how best do I think I can sell myself to this audience. If you see your panel, for example, they have 5, 10, 20 years experience, you can't just go there and bamboozle them. You have to know your stuff. So it is very important that you understand the behavioral nuances to navigate interview conversations. And the final thing I would say around BA and project and management roles that we also look out for is stakeholder management. Stakeholder management is also that one very, very strong skill set that you would need. Being able to manage difficult stakeholders, great stakeholders, and being able to identify their interest. Those are some of the key things that we look out for when it comes to candidates being hired for roles. So thank you very much, Doctor. I hope this has been pretty helpful.
Just two questions that I have. I would say for many people on this call right now, perhaps a lot of them are doing a lot of odd jobs. Yeah. So support work, care work, trying to make ends meet. How can they now adopt this? Or what can they do in order to sell themselves based on what they're doing currently or prior experience that they've got within that field?
Great. The first thing I would say in there is, start some form of learning. That's the first thing I would say. Start some form of learning. Get yourself to start learning in the space you want to get into. If you want to become a project manager, get into a project management course. Get into a business analysis course that can teach you the fundamentals. The fundamentals are very, very important. That's the first thing I'd advise. The second thing I'd advise in that space is get your hands dirty. Get some project experience, get some simulated work experience. Just do something that you can speak to, that you can sell your previous experiences, supporting. And the third thing I would say is, leverage on your strengths. And this would be a bit more individual. And when
Mm-hmm.
I say a bit more individual, so if you've been working in healthcare, for example, do you want to look out for opportunities in the healthcare industry itself around project support officer roles, healthcare business analyst roles? Those are some of the key things, to also look out for. So your previous experience could be a strength. Your skill set as well could be a strength. I always say it, if you work in healthcare, for example, there's a high chance you've developed skills such as empathy. Empathy is one very strong skill set related to stakeholder management. As a BA, as a PM, you'll be managing people. Empathy would help you understand their needs. There's a study that says that one of the key reasons projects fail is because user adoption is one of the key reasons projects fail. And behind user adoption is fears. People have fears. Will this thing affect my job? Will they take away my job if I accept this change? But if when you have empathy, you can manage people's fears. That will
Mm-hmm.
greatly enable you. And so it's just identifying those strengths that can make you stand out in that space. So three key things: I start some form of learning, get your hands dirty, find some form of experience, and leverage on your strengths. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Samuel. Another question, because we've still got a little bit of time. Um, Interview do's and don'ts, and how can I make an impression within the first 60 seconds?
So when it
And is
comes
that
to
a myth or it's true, actually?
it is true every day, true
Okay.
every day. And when it comes to making an impression, first of all, at interviews starts with preparing. And when it comes to preparing, it is having, first of all, your own elevator pitch, your disposition. That's the second thing. So let me go from, the first thing, that first impression. Know ahead, two key things. If you're going to talk about your CV, how does your CV add value to that job? You need to understand the recruitment process is not about you. It is about the job they are trying to fill. And if your experience you are selling cannot add value to the job they are trying to fill, you are not a great candidate. That's just the truth. So you need to first of all, in preparing, know what value means to this job you're applying to, and can you sell yourself in your first 60 seconds to what value means to that job. That's your preparation, basically. The second part of it is also I always say, I don't try to use rehearse, but be aware of the key pointers that you want to also mention. Have a story. That's the keyword. Have a story. So if you're going to share your background, tell us about yourself is the first question most times, and that's where the impression is formed. Have a story. Don't ramble. That's something that kills a lot of people, because you are coming in. You're telling me about you started your primary school in this year. You started your secondary school in this year. They are not adding value, and you've said that for the first 2 minutes rather. So an average human being has a very short attention span. In that 2 minutes, you've lost us. So by the time you get to the point where your conversation can add value, we're already checking out. Trust me, we are
Mm.
humans. We are not machines. So it is very, very easy for you to lose your interviewers in that first 60 seconds if you are not communicating, if you don't have a story that sells, that taps into something they'll be interested in when it comes to value for that role. That's another thing there. Some do's and don'ts, definitely. Prepare, practice as much as possible. Practice, you cannot over prepare. You cannot over prepare. It's better to over prepare than to under prepare even. So, present your best self. That's also something. Don't go shabbily into an interview. Don't say because it's a tech role, people dress, pretty laid back. Don't, present your best self. That's also something to do. Present your confident self. And that's one of very big challenge with people that are going through career transitions because you are not super sure because you are going from the unknown, from the known to unknown. You're not super sure about even your skill set, your skill level. So it makes you a bit, apprehensive or not confident when presenting yourself. It is very important to present your confident self. And I know TriTech provides support around things like this as well. Don't, I always say this, don't ramble at interviews. And I say this because it's very, very common. I have seen more candidates declined for rambling at interviews for not having the skills. I'm being very honest. So, don't ramble at interviews, go straight to the point. Have a mental approach to what you want to communicate. Have a mental approach to how you want to sell yourself. That's also something to look out for.
Okay, and final question, I promise. Can you share some secrets on how to apply for jobs? So a lot of people on this call, they just want to apply for jobs and obviously get the job. Can you share any secrets or behind the scenes things that we can adopt? Help us out.
So when it comes to applying for job, the first thing I always advise is, get your CV, ready for any job you're applying to. Ensure it matches the job you're applying to. I'll reiterate it. Your job application is not about you. The job you're applying to is not about you. It's about the job. Does your CV match, what we are trying to do at this time? Does your CV speak to what we are trying to, fill this role for? That's the first thing. So tailor your CV to that job. The second thing is to have a 4-eye check. I'll be very honest with you that I'm the kind of person that I note errors in documents very fast. It's not intentional. So if your CV, for example, has an error, it's possible someone else might also note it and see you as a person. So imagine starting your CV to say you're a detail-oriented professional, and if there's an error in your CV, if there's a mismatch, I would not want to sincerely interview you. That's the second thing there. Ensure you have a 4-eye check. Let someone else, if possible, let a professional review your CV even for you. That's something I would say. And the third thing is, to keep learning, keep improving, keep adding value to your job applications. If you have a training you are currently going through, update it on your CV, let it show, and put the most important information forward when you're applying for a job. So that's some of my
And
thoughts on
how
that.
many jobs should we apply for a day? Please tell
A
us.
day. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a marketing gimmick that says that for every client you try to sell to, there's a high chance you'll be able to convert to 1 in 10.
Okay.
1 in 10. So I would say if you were super stoked, and also bear that this is just marketing. You are the ones approaching them directly. Now imagine you are now in a more competitive pool. I always advise go as much as 10 per day, considering you are tailoring your CV. Just have a job search strategy as well. If you are doing 10 a day for 15 days straight up, that's 150 jobs. And look at it to say you might get traction on say 10% of that at 15. If you get 15 interviews, trust me, you are in a great place. But just also use numbers to guide your job applications. But I always say don't do a conversion of minimum of 10%.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel. He is actually one of our career counselors in TriTech. So you will have the opportunity to work with him at some points within the program itself. You've been amazing. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You can catch him on LinkedIn, Samuel Akiloton. Really, really good guy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So, I think just on that note, just looking at what's on the screen at the moment, a lot of the time we think that, oh yeah, the market's saturated and there's no demand for project managers and business analysts. Tech is always evolving. Companies are always looking at ways at improving what they're doing. And as a result of that, there will always be a need for project managers and business analysts. However, it's very important that you're evolving, you're upskilling, and TriTech is going to give you that support anyway. So if we look at this data on here, for example, 40% of roles still remain unfulfilled. And that's because a lot of people trying to go for these roles do not have the right skill set. So we've talked a lot about agile, we've talked a lot about AI. They are huge at the moment. There was an 85% increase in demand since 2024, and the average salary went up by £8,000 within 12 months. Okay, so this is important data that yes, the industry is saturated. However, what is going to make you stand out is making sure you have a story, you sell your story. Your LinkedIn profile is a magnet for attracting these opportunities, and you're having the right skill set. But do not worry, this is where TriTech comes in. Mohammed, if we can go to the success story page, please. And I'm hoping that our guest is still on the call. So we have many success stories, over 5,000. There's a lot of them on our Instagram page. These are just some of the candidates that secured roles last year. So you can see their names, you can find them on LinkedIn. I do think we have a guest speaker, just no more than 5 minutes. Mohammed, is she still on the call?
Yes,
Okay.
Patricia, when you're ready.
Patricia, thank you so much for waiting. So Patricia is going to share her journey, how she got her success story, and hopefully motivate every single one of you on the call. When you're ready, Patricia. Hi, Patricia. Is she muted, Mohammed?
No, but we still cannot hear her. Patricia, if you can hear me, try to unmute, maybe start your video as well. Thank you.
She's having audio difficulties. Oh, right. Okay. All right. So I think whilst we're waiting, Patricia, that's fine. So these are a lot of the success stories that we had last year. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear her at some point. But let's go back to the previous slides. Thank you. Patricia, we will wait for you. So just let me know if you're back on. Can you go back, please? Thank you. And yes, okay. So one thing that Samuel talked about was the fact that there are many other roles that you can go for when you've had this training. So it's not just about limiting yourself to just the role of either a project manager or a business analyst. But as you can see on the screen, there are multiple roles that you can go for after the training. So for example, let's say you're completely new to this, right? Maybe you've never done this before. Perhaps you're still working on your confidence, and therefore you might decide, you know what, let me just go for a low-level role, get that experience, and then once I'm confident enough, I can go for the more senior roles. So for example, you could perhaps do the role of a project support officer, a project coordinator, where you're not managing the project. Essentially what you're doing is a lot of admin, facilitating meetings, similar to what Mohammed is doing, preparing PowerPoint slides as well, facilitating, sending out minutes in meetings, etc. So you can start off with these low-level roles, build that confidence, and then after that, you can go for the more, leadership roles, which are the project manager or the business analyst roles. You could decide to be a change manager if you're somebody that loves change, or you're a people person. That's another opportunity for you. Continuous improvement or process improvement. So if you're someone that loves to suggest ideas, you're very innovative, that's another role that you can go for. A PMO analyst role. As a PMO, this role I would say is really good if you're in care or you're working in HR or a legal background or banking background. Essentially, what you're doing as a PMO analyst is governance, standardization and compliance. So whilst the project team are doing what they need to do, as a PMO analyst, your job is making sure that everyone is dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And then, of course, we have the two major roles at the top. The project manager essentially is all about managing the projects within quality, time and budget. And the business analyst job is all about identifying problems and recommending solutions. So when you do the training with TriTech, it opens you up to many possibilities. So you're not just restricted to a project manager role or a business analyst role, but in actual fact, many other roles out there. So if you were to select any role on here, what would it be? Let me know in the chat. I always do this to make sure that nobody has wandered off. So admin. Okay, so probably project admin, project coordinator. So let me know what role appeals to you on these slides. So we've got project manager, a business analyst, a PMO analyst, change management, process improvement, an IT business manager. And there are many other roles that are actually not on these slides. So it's very important that you have an open mind when you're doing this training. Okay, fantastic. Let's have a look at the next slide. So what are some of the tools that you're going to be using? It's very important that you're able to get that theoretical knowledge. So we're going to train you from a theory point of view, but most importantly, your practical experience is very, very important. And it's one thing, I always say it's one thing to get the job, but it's another thing to keep that job as well. So as a result of that, we're going to teach you how to use all of these tools. Do not worry if, I will answer that in a moment. Do not worry if you've never heard of these tools before. For some of you, it might be like a foreign language, and that is why TriTech will help you. So where you have no experience or no knowledge of how to use these tools, our job is to train you and teach you on what you need to do. Next slide. Okay, so oh, Patricia, her camera is on. Okay, Patricia, are you back? Hi, Patricia. Her camera is on. She's muted. Okay.
Patricia,
Hi.
you can unmute yourself.
We can't hear her. So it's a shame because she was going to talk about her journey. We'll keep trying, but I just want to make sure we finish on time. Patricia, I'm so sorry. So we can see her, but we can't hear her. Maybe log out and log back in again, Patricia. Okay, so what is the learning roadmap with TriTech? So some of you have said in the chat you have no experience. Some of you have said that you're new to this. Some of you have said you don't even have a clue on what to do, from doing what you're doing. How is this now going to work for you? So I'm going to break it down from having zero experience, zero knowledge, to being a fully fledged techie. Now, first and foremost, I would say that if you have no experience whatsoever, it's very important that you give yourself at least 5 months. Okay, no experience, nothing at all. Please do not rush the program. I like to be very honest with people in the sense that, yes, a lot of the time, oh yeah, get your job in 3 months. It's possible, but I think if you have no experience whatsoever, you really need to understand the language. You need to understand, the tools, the buzzwords and everything else. So I would say ideally 5 months. If you have a little bit of experience, so let's say, for example, perhaps you've worked in a corporate environment before, or you have a little bit of tech experience, perhaps you've done a few projects here and there, then I would say essentially 3 to 4 months on the program. You have 9 months access to TriTech. So when you join us today, hopefully you are with us for 9 months. That does not mean that you have to wait 9 months to get your success story. Does everybody understand that? So we give you a 9-month window. However, like I said, some people get their success story in 3 months. Some people, it takes a little bit longer, but it's nice for you to know that you have 9 months with TriTech. Okay, so this is your learning plan, and it's divided into 3 stages. So we have the discovery phase, the immersion phase, and acceleration phase. So what happens in phase 1? This is where you are right now. I'm going to talk about the fee we're almost done, so don't worry. Okay, so discovery phase is where the majority of you are right now. And this means that you're completely new to TriTech, you're completely new to tech, perhaps you're confused, you're not really sure what role you're interested in, you don't really have an understanding of your strengths and your weaknesses based on your personality, and so on and so forth. So in the first phase of your training, it's all about discovering who you are and what role you're most suited to do. So in week 1 to 7, you would do a personality test. Once you've done your personality test, you would then do an AI skills matrix test. I will show you where that is. And that is you creating a personal learning plan for yourself. Does everybody understand that? So phase 1 is identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, identifying your skill set. What do you like? What do you not like? And based on that, what are the roles that are best for me? Only one person responded. Does everybody else understand? So that I know whether I need to take it slow. Is everyone still with me, most importantly? Okay, fantastic. Don't leave me by myself, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So phase 1 is discovery stage, discovering who you are, discovering what role is best for you. So for example, are you more of a project manager? Are you more of a business analyst? Or are you hybrid? Is it better that I do everything? What are my positives or what are my strengths? Do I like talking to people? Do I like working behind the scenes? Am I a people person or not? So this is where your personality test and your AI skills matrix test will help you. Then in this phase, you would have your training. Oh, Patricia, let me finish this phase and then you can come on. So in TriTech, we train you in both project management and also business analysis. There are many reasons why we do this, but if you could guess in the chat, so why do you think we do this? So we train you in both. So essentially, you're getting 2 courses for the price of 1. But there's a reason why we do this. So in the chat, let me know. Any guesses? So we're still on phase 1. You're identifying yourself, you're doing your test, you're doing your skills matrix, and you're getting trained in both project management and business analysis. And the reason why we do this is, number 1, the job market is very competitive. So it's important to have wider opportunities. Number 2, some of you might think that you're a project manager and in actual fact, you're more of a BA and vice versa. So it helps you identify where you fit in. And number 3, the industry is evolving rapidly. So you might get hired as a project manager and sometimes be required to do the job of a BA. Or you might get hired as a BA and sometimes be required to do the job of a project manager. So it's very important that we understand that the industry is evolving rapidly, and therefore it's important that we train you in both. When you've had that training in both, you might decide, do you know what, I just want to be a hybrid, or naturally you will know if you're more of a project manager or more of a BA. So for example, if you're having the project management training and you're sleeping off, or you're on your phone, then that means that you're naturally more of a BA. Or if you're having the BA training, you're not interested, it's not really making sense, and you're not having the passion like you had for the PM training, then that means that naturally you're more of a project manager. So does everybody understand phase 1, discovery stage? Then we go to phase 2. And this is really, really important, because phase 1 is more theory. You're doing your theoretical training, textbook training. Yes, you're doing your skill set, you're doing your personality test, but phase 1 is more about training. Phase 2 is all about sacrifice, hard work, dedication, and commitment, because this is where you're going to do your internship. So this is the immersion phase. You're taking all of that training that you did in phase 1 and you're now putting it to practice in phase 2. So this is week 7 to 12. You're doing your internship where you're working on real projects. In TriTech, we do not give you a mock project. We do not give you a case study. We do not say just work on a project for 2 weeks and go and get your success story. That's not going to help you, and that's not going to help the company as well. Because if we give you a reference, you go and get your job and you're not able to deliver, that comes back to TriTech. So the internship is all about practical work experience, networking, and working with other people from all over the world. We have candidates in the UK, obviously, Nigeria, obviously, the US, Canada, France, you name it. So this is where you're networking, you're meeting like-minded individuals, and you're working on projects. All of our developers are in Nigeria, so you will see the finished product of whatever project you're working on. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that a lot of the training that you're going to be doing and the work experience will be AI related. So your training is incorporated with AI training as well. So the second stage of your training is about your internship, career strategy. So this is where you get to work with the likes of Samuel. We also have 2 other career counselors. They're going to mentor you. They're going to help you work on your confidence, your imposter syndrome, how to apply for jobs. There's a lot of career workshops that we do in this stage as well. And then from there, so does everybody understand the second stage? So I can move on to the third stage. Thank you, praise. Thank you. Okay, so you've done your training. You've really now, you're beginning to talk like a techie. Now you're understanding the language. You can brag to your family and friends and say, yeah, I'm working as a project manager with TriTech. I know all about AI. I know all about Agile. You're bluffing, and the bluffing is making sense, right? And then we go to the final stage, acceleration stage. And that is for 4 weeks. So 7 to 12 weeks is for your internship. And then we go to the final stage. And this is critical. You've done your training, you've done your work experience. And the most important thing, yes, it's Ayobami, your internship is for both PM and BA. But it's up to you. You would choose whether you want to get a PM role for your work experience, whether you want to do a BA role for your internship, or maybe you just want to be hybrid, learning everything. The third stage is essential because this is where you want to get your success story. You've done the work, you've attended meetings, you've worked on projects, you've collaborated with other people. Yes, there's going to be difficult and challenging times. Your stakeholder management skills are really being exercised within that middle stage. The third stage is now you applying for jobs. And this is where we help you with your LinkedIn profile. So in TriTech, something that we've just introduced now is we actually help you optimize your LinkedIn profile. So whether your profile is saying that you are a lawyer or whether it's saying that you're a doctor, our job is to sit with you and help you with your LinkedIn profile. Obviously, in this stage, this is where you're getting your success story. So it's very important that we're helping you in this stage. We're going to help you and teach you with the likes of Samuel and the other two guys that you will be meeting, how to apply for jobs, how to prepare for interviews. The moment you have an interview, it's our job to ensure that you have a mentor to help you. What we've just introduced now is a job board. And what that means is we would actually source for jobs and post them on our website. So you can actually, especially sponsorship jobs for a lot of you that need sponsorship, and so on and so forth. So this stage is really, really important because this is, for me, you getting your success story. So is everybody clear on the 3 stages? KSS sessions, good question. These are knowledge sharing sessions. So we have these sessions every month. A lot of these sessions are around interview processes, how to apply for jobs, and a lot of interview techniques as well. So we have these sessions every month. Everybody joins these sessions and they just help you in terms of applying for jobs and acing your interviews. Fantastic. But there's another tool that, for me, a lot of our success stories are on the back of TDL. So we used to call it LMS and now we call it TDL. And basically, this is your Netflix. So how many of you went on Netflix last night or even today? There's no sin in going on Netflix. I think I went on there briefly last night. But what I'm going to show you now, believe me when I say that the moment you log into TDL, you're going to forget all about Netflix. So TDL is your library. So you're going to have your live training, okay? So your live training is for 7 days. Another thing that we've just introduced is that you have the option of weekend training or weekday training. So for some of you, you could choose to do Saturdays. You do your 6-7 Saturdays training. Or for some of you, you could choose to do weekday training, which is in the evenings on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So if you were to choose the weekend or the weekday training, which one would you go for? Just to let me know. So you've got the weekend training, which is on Saturdays. I think, admin, can you help me out? Is it 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.? And the weekday training is in the evening. I think it's 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., but please correct me if I'm wrong. 6 to 9, okay, in the weekdays. The training is flexible in the sense that, let's say you choose the weekend training, right? And on one of those days you're not available, you can join one of the weekday sessions. And all of the training is now recorded. We never used to record it before. So if you do miss a session, it will be recorded and uploaded on TDL for 7 days. Okay, so there's a lot of new things that we've now introduced that we didn't have last year. So is she back? Is Patricia back?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Just please,
That's
hi,
all.
Patricia.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I want to say a very big thank you to TriTech. My first touch with TriTech was in 2020 during the COVID era. And I did a Project Innovate, with a group of persons, and I left. And I came back in 2021. I had some personal issues, health-wise, immigration-wise. So I was depressed. So TriTech gave me that refuge. I took time to go on to the LMS. After the live trainings, I attended all the live trainings, and I combed through LMS. I followed every PM video because I was finding BA a bit technical, and my desire was to go to the PM side of things. So I followed through. And afterwards, because I had some immigration issues, I didn't have the right to work. Because I know we've all got our stories. Some people might be in this regard as well. So afterwards, when the immigration story settled, I knew I was ready. I had taken I participated in 3 projects with TriTech. And just the fears everyone is talking about, my accent, past experience, my age, and these fears came. But after the trainings and the projects, this confidence came in within me. I knew I was ready for the job market. So I started applying. Within 3 months of application, I get my first role as an EPMO analyst. And there it was an initial 3 months contract, and afterwards it extended to 17 months. And the pay was fantastically good. The one thing with TriTech is the affordability. It's unbelievable what you get for what you pay. And TriTech gave me the foundation, the core foundation to understand project management better. I started at high level and got confused, but afterwards, after I came to TriTech, every documentation, I understood it. I understood it from the project manager point of view, from the PMO point of view. By the way, my first project, I was the PMO lead for Project Innovate. And then I was part of Project Topaz too. And I was a PMO there, just a PMO. I'm presently in the PMO sphere because it's my desire for now and due to family commitments. And just on Monday here, I secured my second contract role. I was coming from care. I came from care. And I want to tell you that it is possible. If you coming here today, you have believed in yourself that you are ready to make a change and a switch. It is possible. I am a living testimony. And I want to again thank this platform. I can't go on my journey without TriTech. I can't go without mentioning TriTech. I want to thank the convener of this platform. It's been a pleasure working with you and with all the staff members of TriTech. I'm honored to have been allowed to make this speech today because the first time I came and someone came to speak like this, I said, oh, they are not telling us their background story. They are not telling us their background story. How am I sure this is true? It is true. And the last place I worked as a carer, they gave me an interview for a job for £52,000 per annum. I rejected it because I'm earning double that amount as we speak. Wow. And I was just like you 3 years ago. This is my testimony. This is reality. Thank you, doctor. I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Do you know what? I immediately got the calculator when you said double the amount. And I think if anybody was sleeping, they would literally wake up when they heard that. That is amazing. That is amazing. And I can feel the emotions and exactly. A lot of people woke up. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Lovely to meet you. And thank you for inspiring us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
I know everybody woke up, right? We all love money. We all do. Okay, so if you go onto our social media page, you'll see many success stories on there. I want us to go into TDL. We're going to wrap up in about 10 minutes. If you do need to go, because I know a lot of you have work, you can drop your number in the chat for a phone call. But we're going to wrap up very, very soon. Okay, so I talked about TDL and I said that the moment you log into TDL, you will forget all about Netflix. This is your new Netflix from today. What you have on here is not your training. So what you have on here are videos on core topics that are going to help you with this journey. So for example, there are videos on AI, there are videos on emotional intelligence. Yes, Sarah, you can. There are videos on ChatGPT, for example. So TDL is immediate access. If you pay today, you will get access to TDL today. And you have access for 9 months. TDL stands for TriTech Digital Library. On here, you have your training materials. On here, you have your request for your LinkedIn optimization. On here, you have your, remember we talked about your personality test and your skills matrix test. You would do that on the Try AI. So TDL is your learning portal with everything that you need on this journey. But what I want us to run through very, very quickly are the training videos. So for those of you that need to go, drop your number and then the team will call you and let you know what the offer is, if that's easier for you. Okay, so on here, you've got your project management videos and your business analysis videos. Remember, this is not your training. Your training is going to be live, but these are additional resources that we're giving you. So it's up to you what videos you want to start with first. So let's start with the project management videos. So these are all of the topics that you have. So it's just like a library. You know what a library is? Think of it as your encyclopedia, your dictionary. You know, when you go to a Chinese buffet and there's a little bit of everything. So let's have a look at some of the topics that we have on here. We've got videos on people management, change management. We've got videos on stakeholder management on here as well. We've got videos on digital project management. Google Analytics is on here, digital transformation. We've got a lot of videos on PMO, Agile, a lot of videos on Agile and Scrum, how to be a great Scrum Master. We've even got videos on GDPR, a day in the life of a project manager, a first day on the job, what do you do when you get your job? There's a lot of videos on interview questions and answers. We've got videos on effective communication skills, dealing with imposter syndrome. So we've even got videos on that. Change management, how to use ChatGPT to get your job. So these are all of the topics that we have. We've got videos on emotional intelligence. We've got videos on Tech Nation, the Tech Nation visa route. We've got videos on interview case studies. And all you would do is select any topic of your choice. So anything that appeals to you, bearing in mind that you know you have 9 months. Okay, so how to use LinkedIn. Let's go to the one at the bottom. How to use LinkedIn for your job search. So is everybody understanding how this works? For those of you still with me, I know some of you, this is more than Netflix. You know what? Maybe I should charge for this separately, right? But yes, you're absolutely right. So there you have it. You've got the video, the mentor, and the trainer, and it's mobile friendly. So what that means is you can play any of the videos on your mobile, and there you have it. So imagine you having topics that are going to help you outside of your learning curriculum. So this is an AI powered career boost. So how to use AI to search for jobs. We've got videos on general interviews, questions and answers, and so on and so forth. Let's have a look at the BA video. So these are just your PM videos. So as I mentioned, someone said, are we learning just through videos? So guys, what is the answer to that question? I did mention it, but I just want to make sure we all understand. No. So what is a library? You know, back in the day, because I don't remember the last time I went to a library, you will go to the library and you will select any book of your choice. So the person that asked that question, no, you're going to have your live training, but this is your library. So does everybody understand this? We're not telling you to go and watch videos. We are basically saying, have your live training, which is your 7 days, and have your library to help and support you along the way. Yeah, does everybody understand that? Okay, so let's have a look at your BA videos. We've got videos on requirement gathering. We've even got videos on software testing. We've got videos on, there's a lot on here. There's a lot. GDPR, Agile, Scrum, Scrum Master Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. We've even got cybersecurity Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. Isn't that fantastic? So you're paying for PM and BA, but you're getting videos in cybersecurity, you're getting videos in AI, you're getting videos on how to apply for jobs, how to use ChatGPT, robotic process automation. TDL stands for TriTech Digital Library. You've got videos on big data. So what do companies do with your data? An intro session to AI is on here. Business intelligence part 1 and part 2. There's a lot on here. And that is why I said it's your dictionary, it's your encyclopedia, it's your library. So if you're at work, Ayobami, and there's a live session, the sessions are always uploaded on TDL. And that is why, for me, this is TriTech's unique selling point. You've got videos on LinkedIn optimization. You've got videos on skills matrix, digital transformation and technology. And again, you select any topic of your choice. So what to expect at work in your first couple of days, weeks, or months. So again, any topic, you browse through the topics, bearing in mind you have 9 months, you press play, the video is playing, and you use your AirPods and everything else. So if you were to describe TDL in one word, what would it be? So if you were to describe TDL in just one word, what would it be? So that everybody understands. So it's 9 months. You have access to TDL for 9 months. So what you will find is when you have your live training, and maybe there are some words or buzzwords that you don't understand, you can come on TDL and do your research. And for those of you that sign up today, you can actually start watching your videos today. So remember, this is your library and not your actual training. And imagine you having this. There's a wealth of information on here. And a lot of the success stories that we get, to be honest with you, are on the back of TDL because of the knowledge that is on there. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide before we wrap up. Yes, it's deep. So these are all the success stories. We've talked about that. Now, I'm very, very excited with this initiative that we just introduced yesterday. Now, when you finish your program with TriTech, you've done your training, you've done your work experience, we now do a graduation ceremony. It would be online, of course. So what we do is we celebrate everybody that has, pulled through from the beginning through to the end. So they've done the training, they've participated in the work experience despite any challenges or work commitments. So we now have a TriTech Academy graduation ceremony. And this is where we celebrate all of you that complete your project. So isn't this fantastic, guys? What do we think about this? I think it's amazing. Next slide, please. You also get a certificate of completion. So someone talked about certifications. We give you a certificate of completion, and we are part of the UK learning providers. So we have been approved for this training as well. So imagine you having a graduation ceremony because you've graduated in TriTech. I think that's awesome. Next slide, please, because of time. Okay, so what is this program worth to you? So let's break it down a little bit. So you've got your project management training. Essentially, project management training on its own is £600. AI training, so I'm not sure if any of you have done your research. AI training is normally about £300, £400. Your experience and your internship is between normally £800 to £1,000. Business analysis training, maybe £500, £600. Career strategy support starts from £500. TDL on its own, really and truly, I would say it's about £1,000 worth of content. So when you think about ChatGPT, AI, emotional intelligence, LinkedIn optimization, and all of the videos that you have on there. And then a strategy call with myself is something that I've just introduced as well, is normally about £99 to £100. So what do we have in store for many of you today? Are we ready, guys? Before we go there, are we ready? Is everyone awake? Because we're about to talk about money now. So just checking that everyone is still wide awake. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at what we have in store. Okay, so the package in its entirety is £1,400, and that includes everything that we've talked about. So in TriTech, we're very transparent, okay? So whatever you pay for or whatever I've talked about is included in your package. So where I talked about your experience, where I talked about your training, where I talked about TDL, career counseling with Samuel or the career coaching, your interview preparation, your LinkedIn optimization, it's all included in your package. Usually the package is £1,400 throughout the month of January, because we understand the meaning of dry January when we've spent so much money during Christmas. We've discounted it for today for £499 only. So that's your TDL and everything else that I've talked about today. So I will break it down for one more time. So you get your project management training, your AI training, and your business analysis training. You get your practical work experience, otherwise known as your internship. You get to learn all of the tools that I've talked about. You've got your career counseling as well. So when you're ready to apply for jobs, you would go over to Samuel, Adeyimika, and any other person that is available. So you've got your career counseling for 4 weeks. You have access to myself. So what I do now is the moment you join, I would do a 10-15-minute strategy call just to identify where you are, so what position or what role you're doing currently, and tips and tricks that you can adopt to get your success story. Also, we now give you a free course. So you have the option of choosing any of these free courses when you sign up today. Cybersecurity, UI, UX, or Microsoft training. So for those of you perhaps not proficient in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Of course, you get access to the amazing TDL. You have your knowledge sharing sessions, your LinkedIn optimization. We don't do CVs, so we have another company that we recognize for that. And I will explain why we took that out. We used to do that many, many years ago, but I just realized that the quality was dropping because of the volume of CVs that I was doing. And I just thought, you know what, I need to be true to myself and just hand it out to somebody externally, because it's a lot of work. Okay. So LinkedIn optimization for me is even more important than your CV. Okay. So all of this is included. Yes, absolutely. Everything on here is included in your package for £499. Let's have a look at the last, I think last slide or next slide. Let's see. Okay, so this is going to expire. We have 40 seats available. When you pay now, you get your instant access to TDL. Also, for those of you that paid today, you would get a welcome session with myself, and that's going to be for the first 10 people. So admin, please take notes. So this is not a strategy call. This is me giving you a call, welcoming you to TriTech, and just really understanding everything about what you're doing, your frustrations, motivating you, and everything else. So just drop your numbers in the chat, but we only have 40 slots available for this cohort. And for the first 10 people, you would get that call to me. So all you need to do text the word payment to the numbers on the screen. 499 is full payment. I will talk about installments in a moment. If you are returning, so I've just seen another candidate that got her success story, Ola Olatunji. I was looking at that name and I was like, I know that person. So Janet Olatunji, if you're returning, then you would need to message me separately because you wouldn't pay the full amount, okay? So 40 slots available for this offer at 499. So you text the word payment to Adijoke, Esther, or Shagun, or you can put your number in the chat if it's easier for you. But we only have 40 slots available for this cohort. Let's have a look at what we have in store for those of you that want installments. So 499 is full payment. If you want to do 2 installments, it's 549 divided by 2. So you do your initial deposit and then your balance as well. You can text Kenny or David, or again, you can put your number in the chat. If you have Klarna or ClearPay, you can do 3 installments. So if you have a Klarna account or a ClearPay account, then you can easily do your 3-4 installments. Ideally, it's 2 installments. Yes, Christiana. So we accept all credit cards, Amex, debit cards, credit cards, etc. So you can break down the payment into 2, but that would be 549, and you just divide it by 2. You pay your initial amount and then the balance in 4 weeks' time via direct debit only, or if you have a Klarna or ClearPay. So you text the numbers on the screen, or you can put your number in the chat. Let's have a look at the next slide for those of you in Nigeria or back home. So if you're in Nigeria or Ghana or anywhere in Africa, you can text Divine and Anita. Text them and then they would call you to give you the payment details. Okay. I've also got something in store. So you can screenshot these numbers, but we will alternate the numbers throughout the session. Installment 549. Slides are moving so quickly. Okay, 499 full payment. Thank you, Mohammed. 499 is full payment, Adijoke, Esther, and Shogun. Or you can put your number in the chat for a call. We only have 40 slots available for today. Then the next slide is installments. 549 divided into 2. Or if you've got a Klarna or ClearPay account, you can do 3 installments. And then the following slide is if you're in Nigeria or Ghana, etc. Let's have a look at the next slide. I think we've come to the end. I just want to be sure. Next slide. Okay. Is that the final slide, Mohammed? Oh, what's happened? Mohammed, David, is anyone there? Alternatively, you can email as well, payment or installment to the email address on the screen. Let's have a look at the next slide. So whilst that is happening, if you are in care or support work, and it's something that I've really wanted to do. So if you are currently a care or support worker, can you make yourself known in the chat? So just say me or just say care. I just want to know. So if you're in care, support work, you're tired, you want to get out, not that I'm turning up my nose on care. So